So right now, this is the kind of story that is shaking people quietly. Not even with noise, but with that deep surprise that makes you pause and say, wait, what really just happened? We are talking about a situation where a man who has held power for a long time suddenly faces something unexpected, not from outsiders, not from opposition voices shouting from far away, but from people very close to him, people inside his own circle. When you hear, loses the vote inside his own house, you need to understand, this is not just about numbers. This is about loyalty. This is about trust. This is about cracks forming, where people thought everything was still strong. Now imagine this clearly. A meeting is called. It could be party leadership, inner cabinet, or top-level decision makers. These are not random people. These are individuals who have worked together for years, people who have defended each other in public, people who understand the system deeply. And then a vote is needed. Maybe it is about direction. Maybe it is about leadership decisions. Maybe it is about strategy going forward. On the surface, it might look like a normal internal process. But inside that room, tension is already there. Because when people begin to question leadership quietly, they don't start by shouting, they start by thinking, they start by watching, they start by asking small questions. And before you know it, those small questions turn into decisions. So when the vote happens, something changes. The expectation might have been clear. Of course, he will win. That is what many people outside would assume. That is what many inside might have believed too. But then the result comes. And suddenly, the outcome does not match the expectation. That is where everything shifts. If you are following this kind of story closely, you will understand that losing a vote internally is sometimes more powerful than losing in public. Because in public, you can still control the message. You can still speak strong. You can still present confidence. But inside is where the real truth lives. So what does it mean when support begins to drop from within? It tells you that people are thinking ahead. It tells you that people are reading the future. It tells you that some individuals are beginning to position themselves differently. And let me tell you something very important here. Don't miss this part. When power begins to shift, it rarely announces itself loudly at first. It moves quietly. It moves through conversations, through meetings, through decisions like this one. That is why this moment matters. Now, if you are enjoying this breakdown, go ahead and like this video and subscribe, because we are going deep into this kind of story in a way that is simple and clear for everyone to understand. Let's continue. Think about the people who voted. These are not strangers. These are people who understand the consequences of their actions. Nobody in that room is voting carelessly. Every hand raised, every decision made comes with thought. So if the outcome goes against the expected leader, it means something serious has changed. It could be frustration building over time. It could be disagreements on decisions that were made earlier. It could be pressure from different sides. Or it could simply be that some people believe the future needs a different direction. Now, here is where it gets even more interesting. After such a vote, what happens next? Do people come out publicly and explain everything? Not always. Do they try to manage the story? Most likely. Do they try to show unity even when there are cracks? Yes, that happens a lot. Because in politics, perception is very important. What people see on the outside is often carefully arranged, even when the inside is not as smooth as it looks. But for those who are paying attention, moments like this are signals. Signals that something is moving. Signals that things are not exactly the same anymore. Signals that the future might not follow the same path people expected. And this is where the real conversation begins. Because once a leader loses that kind of internal support, even slightly, the question becomes, can it be rebuilt? Sometimes, yes. Sometimes, leaders come back stronger. They adjust, they reconnect, they rebuild trust. But other times, it becomes the beginning of a slow shift. Not an immediate fall, not a dramatic ending, but a gradual change that continues over time. Now think about the people who supported the other side in that vote. What are they thinking now? They are watching closely. They are calculating their next moves. They are observing reactions. Because after a moment like this, everything becomes more sensitive. Every statement, every decision, every meeting, everything is being watched more carefully than before. And let's not forget the public side of this. Even if details are not fully clear, once a story like this comes out, people start talking. People start asking questions. People start forming opinions. And in today's world, information spreads fast. So the impact is not only inside the room, it begins to move outside as well. Now, I want you to think about this carefully. When power starts to shift internally, who benefits the most? Is it the opposition? Is it other strong figures within the same system? Is it new voices trying to rise? Or is it simply a sign that the structure itself is adjusting? These are the kinds of questions that make this story very interesting. And if you are still with me, make sure you like this video and subscribe, because this kind of breakdown helps you understand not just what is happening, but why it matters. Let me take you deeper into the human side of this. Imagine being in that position. You have led for years. You have made decisions. You have built alliances. And then suddenly, you see a vote not going your way. That moment is not just political, it is personal. Because leadership is not only about authority, it is also about relationships. So when support drops, it raises questions. Who is still fully loyal? Who is beginning to step back? Who is waiting to see what happens next? And these questions don't always get clear answers immediately. That is why moments like this can create uncertainty. But at the same time, they can also create opportunity for others. Now, there is also another angle to this story that people don't always talk about openly. Sometimes, internal votes are not just about one issue. They can represent deeper conversations that have been happening quietly for a long time. So what we are seeing here might just be the surface. The real discussions might be much deeper. And that is why analysts and observers take such moments seriously. Because they are not just looking at the result, they are trying to understand the meaning behind the result. All right, I'm going to pause here so we don't rush this story too fast.